From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.
Good morning and happy Cinco de Mayo. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Tuesday, May 5th. Now, before we get into our main stories for you this morning, just wanted to let you know and be aware and remind you, we are 1 week out from Nebraska's primary elections. That is coming up May 12th, exactly 1 week away on Tuesday. Now, this is a big election heading into the general coming up in November. So we just wanted to give you a resource out there for you to check out. Now, if my screen share was working, I'd show you this morning, but I'll just give you the instructions right now. If you go over to 1011now.com, head over and click the news tab. Underneath that, click the election tab, and underneath that you should see the Nebraska primary election guide, what voters need to know before May 12th. If you click into that, we have a laydown of all the races you could potentially see on your ballot. We're talking the U.S. Senate race, representative in Congress for District 1, the governor race, Secretary of State, and much more. We even have the specific races that I can't even see on my own ballot because I don't live in the area of the Waverly School District or the North School District, where there are bond issues coming up on this year's ballot, as well as the District 3 Commissioner for Lancaster County for those of you that live in the southwestern portion of Lancaster County that this affects. That being said, we still have it all on our website, 1011now.com. Just head over to news, click the elections tab, and you'll see it right there on that page. We have compiled up all sorts of links to candidate profiles that go more in depth on all of their different platforms, as well as things they've told us in specific interviews at 1011. So be sure to head over to that page to check that out before you go and head over to vote on Tuesday. Wish I could share this screen with you this morning, but it's not working. That being said, let's get you our top 6 stories for you this morning. Starting off with the first thing this morning from overnight news. We are currently tracking this incident that you can see on your screen right here. Police responded to a multi-vehicle crash in northeast Lincoln last night. It happened near the intersection of 48th and Holdridge just before 10 p.m. And you can see right there one of the cars completely off to the side there. Our reporter on scene said 2 cars appeared to be damaged. And, you know, as you can see, one of those cars was resting up on the trees and it was being worked on by emergency crews. It was unclear if anyone was injured or what caused the crash. Now, we have reached out to Lincoln Police to learn more details, and we will bring you the latest as soon as we know it on 1011now.com. Now over to your second story for you this morning, and our top story from last week. The Florida man who Lincoln police say attacked an officer at an Arby's last week is now behind bars in Council Bluffs facing a murder charge. Joseph Berlino is charged with killing 62-year-old Kenneth Goff at a Carter Lake hotel last Tuesday, and he waived his right to extradition on Friday and arrived in Iowa yesterday. Now, before police learned about the homicide, Berlino allegedly tried grabbing an officer's gun during a fight at Arby's. While in custody, Berlino made what investigators call concerning statements about an incident at the hotel. There, investigators found Goff dead, unfortunately. Over to your third story for you this morning, and happening today, a Lincoln bar is taking its fight to keep its liquor license to the state level. Playmaker Sports Bar and Grill is set to go before the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission after the Lincoln City Council voted last month to cancel its liquor license. The decision came after Lincoln police alleged multiple violations tied to the business, including sex and drug trafficking. Since then, the bar stopped serving alcohol but has remained open. Today's hearing will determine whether the state upholds the city's decision or allows the bar to keep its liquor license. A decision from the commission could come after the hearing process moves forward. Now, to pick up the pace on this story from last night, your fourth story, back in 2022, Nebraska voters approved a ballot initiative to increase the minimum wage alongside inflation starting next year. But in February, state legislators passed a law that would instead cap annual increases at the same percent each year. Now, one city council member is hoping to restore the original plan. The ordinance was introduced by Councilmember James Michael Bowers, who would require the wage to increase alongside inflation instead of a steady annual 1.75% increase. It would also reverse the decision to give employers the right to pay youth workers less than the minimum wage. Many speaking in support yesterday, sharing the sentiment that people of all ages should make a livable wage.
I face tremendous challenges in order to provide for my children. And it is just in the last few years that I feel like I have a little bit of breathing room with my finances. But I'm well above minimum wage. So if I am struggling, minimum wage workers are struggling even harder than I am.
Now, you just heard right there from one resident in support of bringing that minimum wage change back to what was voted in 2022. But those opposed, including the director of a local childcare, say not every business is designed to prioritize profit, and the extra pressure of a fast rising minimum wage would put a strain on their finances.
Continued increases tied to inflation without consideration of the financial realities faced by childcare providers will place additional strain.
The bill, this ordinance, is looking to
programs
reverse
like
passed
ours.
earlier this year by Senator Jane Raybould. She tells us the decision was based on economic studies suggesting high minimum wage only hinders job creation and growth. Again, a lot of moving pieces to this story, so we'll be sure to keep you updated here at 10:11 Now. Now over to your fifth story this morning in a new edition of We the People. Grace McDonald takes us to a restored barn near Cairo. Mark and Brian Rasmussen reminisce on this barn they grew up in. The barn and the neighboring house was built in 1929 by Robert and Agnes McLeod. This is the original cupola, and it was still on the structure when the family that currently lives there moved into the property in the 1980s. It wasn't until 2020 when they got the chance to restore it and then finish this project up back in July of 2021 with plans to add on an exterior staircase. Now, the barn looks like new, but the family kept a lot of the original floor plan and other elements that hint at its past. As you can see, I'm not telling the full story this morning, not nearly as well anyways as our Grace McDonald does. So be sure to head over to this story on our website under Pure Nebraska, or We the People, It's a very delightful story, just a lot of love and effort that went into restoring but preserving this barn at the same time. Now, wrapping things up with your final story this morning. If you're a Marvel comic fan, you likely know the artists behind the characters. One of them was born and raised in Lincoln and stopped by Dillard's yesterday, signing autographs and sketching some of his characters. Bob Hall moved to New York to be a theater director, but as luck would have it, he says he was in the right place at the right time. After doing a little work with a lesser-known comic company called Charlton, he was invited to a Marvel comic class, eventually leading him into the company. Hall is best known for his West Coast Avengers, and when it comes to advice for young artists, here's what he had to say.
And I would say just keep at what you're doing, but see if you can find a way to learn AI that is not just somehow having AI do it for you.
Now, aside from comics, Hall also created the Shakespeare Festival at Wyuka Cemetery in 2001. That's going to do it, though, for your morning pulse for this cloudy Tuesday morning. And speaking of which, we're going to toss things over to our 7-day forecast before sending things over to Bill Rentschler with more.
Cloudy and cooler weather expected as we head through the day on your Tuesday. Some spots across the state may not get out of the 40s as we head into your Tuesday afternoon. We'll be looking for overcast skies for most of the state with some areas of light rain possible as we head through the morning into the afternoon here in Lincoln. We'll look for some sprinkles, some passing light rain showers as we head through the day today. The big thing for us, though, will be the much cooler and cloudy conditions that we'll see through the day today. The best chance for moisture today will be in the southwestern portions of the state. They could potentially see a quarter to maybe a half an inch of moisture as we head through the day today. In central and eastern Nebraska, we're generally looking at maybe less than a tenth of an inch at best for any rainfall as we head through the day today, and portions of north central and northeastern Nebraska will stay dry as we head through the day today, just with cloudy and cooler conditions. As I mentioned, you look at the highs, some portions of western and southwestern Nebraska likely don't get out of the 40s today. For most of the area, though, highs into the 50s to near 60.
From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.